this dark coloured Vauxhall. We're now doing 43, so I'll ease back. 41, that's okay. And engage cruise control. Haven't got clear of the Vauxhall, and I haven't managed to get not catching up the bronze coloured Ford, and there isn't safe space to move in between the two, so the road here is full at the moment and there's no compunction to move back into the leftmost lane. Block gear change down to gear 2. Silver van's turning off, bronze coloured vehicle isn't. Hazard warning light trailer is turning off, which had switched them off by then. Range Rover coming through extremely fast in lane 3 and sliding back into lane 2 and now back into lane 1 with one failed brake signal. So that's actually not roadworthy and not driving well. Sliding between lanes like that. SK64ZPV. And yeah, now hounding the black Mini that's in front of it. That was just on the verge of my eyesight, so I might not have got that completely right. I might look it up later. But yeah, that failed brake signal, you might be able to see it in the distance there. There should be, in a car of that cost, there should be an indication on the instruments that tell you that something's not functioning. So the driver should be taking corrective action. Anyway, I'm on my way to fuel, going north up the Stratford Road that leads past the Shirley Test Centre. Still 40 miles an hour at the moment. Gravitated into lane 1 because that is, after all, the normal driving position, 1 metre or so away from the left-hand edge of the road. I'm in gear 4, could have been in gear 5 once I get up to 30 miles an hour on a flat road with light traffic. Yeah, thinking about changing gear. No, I'll keep it in 4, it's more fuel efficient. Even at 22 miles an hour, the car engine is developing enough torque. There's nobody to benefit from the signal, so having looked thoroughly around, the red car's turning off right. The car coming in from exit number 1, approach number 1, just after exit number 1, it had slowed for a vehicle behind me, so it wasn't going to benefit by me waving at them, essentially, which is what a flashing light is, to attract your attention so you can then work out what's going on, where that road user is intending to move to. Moving briskly enough to keep moving through that junction and off the roundabout, but having clocked the red lights and moving out into lane 2. Had safe time in front of the white van behind, just because the blue car looked like it was going to be rather sluggish, and indeed it is. We're now up to the new lower speed limit of 30. There's a car with hazard lights on in lane 1 ahead. It isn't a taxi, but the burgundy coloured Japanese car has moved out in front of me. I'm now going to stay in lane 2 to see if I can flow through this next roundabout, having clocked the white van behind, and not slow as much as the red car might. So staying in lane 2, checking that white van hasn't come through on the right, building up speed again, efficiently into gear 4 at 30, won't go into 5 before the lights, going past the dark red car which is now peeled off left, brake signals from the Mini in front, so just easing off the gas, now back on the gas. We're doing 32, so I'm easing back. White van looks like it might be turning off, so signalling to come left. My gear still okay with 4th dropping behind this Fiat, and approaching a roundabout with a 7.5 tonne weight restriction either side. And I'm going to turn right at the roundabout and ask a question of the driving examiners at Shirley Test Centre. Last time I was here, a couple of weeks ago, I noticed there are now 2 dedicated spaces for electric vehicles only. My teaching car is now electric, as is that grey bus over there, and I want to know whether I should park in those spaces to start the test. asked the part learner car. I think the instructor is just practicing behind because they have come around from the back of the shops around to the front again. A couple of test centres on the south side of Birmingham are in shopping parades from the early 1960s like this that have their own service roads. Listening out for activity from the car alongside me, which has a lot of passengers on board. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 disabled as well, some crutches in the back. And it might be an electric car. I haven't had time to look at it. I can now see the reversing signals on, so it must be in reverse gear. And they've just rolled forwards, and now she's going backwards. And I've turned my engine off so I can uncouple my safety harness, my supplementary restraint system, as they call it in America, my seat belt, and the engine won't come back on. And I shall go and ask the question about whether the parking space is on my right hand side, where you can see a charging point behind. Yeah, I might even put my car on to charge before or after test. I hadn't noticed there was a charging point there. Okay, cheers, that's enough from me as I make the transition to electric.